everybody. Today we have Haley Presswood on the podcast. She is a Scrum Master slash Agile coach for Kroger right now. And I've known Haley for a number of years, and she's an awesome Scrum Master. And I'm really excited about having this conversation about her origin story and her work and her perspective. So welcome, Haley, on the show.
Thanks, Vivek. I'm excited to be here. It's a long time coming.
Yeah. Haley, let's just start with your introduction. What else have you been up to? What are you doing currently?
Yeah, so like you said, I'm currently a Scrum Master at Kroger. Prior to my role at Kroger, I was an IT consultant for Sogeti. And my very first role in Agile was a BA role at Principal Financial Group.
Yeah, let's just start there. Actually, let's just start with your story. How did you, what's your background in college? How did you get into tech?
Yeah, so like many others who did the Agile Coach Bootcamp, I come from a non-technical background. In college, I studied PPEL, which is philosophy, politics, economics, and law. So very different from what I do now. And I had originally planned on going to law school. But the further along I got in my major, the more I realized I didn't want to do that anymore. I wanted a career that had a better work-life balance, more freedom and flexibility. And I planned on doing Teach for America after graduation. But then COVID hit and the whole world shut down. And it was around that time that I was lucky enough to get introduced to the Agile Coach program, and it's history. So.
Yeah, that's crazy that you were thinking about doing Teach for America. I actually applied for Teach for America, went to final round after graduation too. So that's
no way.
Yes.
I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, so you have a crazy story on how you learned about Scrum Master and Agile in this role. So tell us this story of the park in Scottsdale.
Yeah, it's so random. But my best friend went to the dog park one morning in Scottsdale, and she's super outgoing. She struck up a conversation with someone named Diana, and her husband had recently graduated from the program and become a Scrum Master. And Diana asked her if she was interested in maybe doing the program. And my friend was like, I'm not, but I actually know someone who might be. Around that time, I literally had no idea what I was doing with my life. I was really looking for an opportunity. So it was just perfect timing, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity.
Yeah, no, Haley, you have a great story, and let's kind of go into your role as a business analyst. A lot of the folks who are kind of listening to this podcast are probably people who want to break into tech, and you've got a perfect story, right? You're coming out of college, you think you're going to go to law school or do Teach for America. COVID hits, and you learn about becoming a business analyst possibly. So how when you were going to skip to you got the training, you obviously got the job. What are some things that you did as a business analyst in your first role?
Yeah, so as a BA, I spent a lot of time in meetings with various stakeholders to determine what the business required from the dev team. I participated in all of the Scrum ceremonies, and I spent a lot of time writing and refining user stories, keeping the backlog prioritized, stuff like that. I also did a lot of documentation as well. And I knew I eventually wanted to transition into a Scrum Master role. So as a BA, I took every opportunity I could to help out the Scrum Master on my team with facilitating ceremonies. And I think starting with a BA role is a really good idea. I was able to get exposed to a lot of technical language and, like I said, participate in the Scrum ceremonies.
Haley, I'm curious on your BA role, if you can give an idea for somebody who's new and wanting to learn more, right? Gathering requirements, working on the product backlog. What was it like working remotely? What was your team structure like? Who were the team members? If you can just, without taking specific names, if you can give an idea of what it was, if you can recall.
Yeah, it feels like a long time ago now. I guess that was only 3 years ago. But yeah, working remotely was really nice. I loved the freedom and Sometimes I
Yeah.
would almost feel guilty with the free time I had in between my meetings. I think that was
Yeah.
kind of an adjustment or transition
Yeah.
going into my first remote role. But the team structure, I think I was on a team of about 10 people. So it was myself, the Scrum Master, and then about 8 devs.
Hmm.
All of my devs were offshore in India. So I worked with my team in the morning, the first few hours of the day. It was nighttime for them. And then I spent the rest of my day kind of heads down working on user stories and documentation. So I don't know
Yeah.
if that answers your question at
Yeah, it
all. I
does.
feel
It
like
does.
every
It
day looked
does.
a little bit different for me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, a lot of the roles I wanted to give an audience an idea if they're really new to tech, that, the cross-functional, the teams are all around the world. In this case, you had all
Yes.
your dev team in India, and you were on the business side, writing requirements, writing stories, refining stories, and maybe giving them perspective on the prioritized work from the product side, right?
Right.
What were some of the advantages or disadvantages, challenges that you faced working in a fully remote team that's in India?
Yeah, it was definitely a big adjustment, not having the same face-to-face interaction with my coworkers. And then sometimes, like, if you have a question for the team or something, just having to wait until the next day. But I feel like I learned and adjusted pretty quickly to it. So, but just challenges in general, I think of being in my first IT role, definitely felt some
Yeah,
imposter syndrome in the beginning. And
yeah,
um, but I want to encourage anyone listening, like, if you feel imposter syndrome, like that's not a bad thing. Like that's a sign that you're getting out of your comfort zone and you're growing. So kind of lean into that. Don't be afraid to ask questions and get off mute in meetings. Like when I first started in my first role, I was so scared to come off mute and ask questions.
mm,
But that's really, how you're going to improve. That's how you're going to grow. So don't
yeah,
be afraid to put yourself out there.
yeah. Curious, like, because you also got you learned facilitation, and you come from a background of being a yoga instructor too, because you did that in college. Like, what are some things that you're able to do to facilitate or really help the team?
So having a background as a yoga teacher is interesting. I think that having that mindfulness and self-awareness is really, really crucial as a leader. So some ways that background has helped me is really being able to pause and go inward, take a deep breath before I react to something. If I'm
Mm-hmm.
in like a high stress situation, or if I'm working with a difficult stakeholder, or I'm facilitating conflict between, two team members, just having that mindful awareness and being able to pause before reacting, I think is really helpful.
Yeah, 100%. And Haley, like when you started, you had no background, and you're able to learn so much.
Yeah.
Work as a business analyst with a team entirely in India, the communication challenges, the time, like in COVID times, it was just so much uncertainty.
Yes.
Um, and I was really impressed with the way that you were able to grow and self-manage.
Thank you.
And from that BA role, first it was like graduating and like lining up a job interview, and you've had several, obviously challenges, going into the first role, right? And and then kind of learning the whole tech lingo and going through a little bit of self-doubt, like what do you recommend? What are some practical ways that people can really prioritize growth and really take care of themselves when somebody's in like your shoes, like somebody who's new and making these huge transitions?
Absolutely. That's a great question. And I just want to say to anyone listening that you can do this. Like, I know it seems daunting and it seems scary to embark in something new, but let my story be proof and inspiration that it's
Yeah.
possible. Yeah, I think coming from a non IT background and studying something like, political science in college, I faced a lot of imposter syndrome and a lot of doubt, especially going into my first role. I just felt like, can I really do this? Like, who am I to think that I'm going to get this role in IT just with no experience in it? And when I had that mindset at first, when I was interviewing, I wasn't getting anywhere,
Yeah.
shocker. Like,
Yeah.
if you don't believe in yourself, like no one else is going to believe in you. And
Yeah.
I remember like having a phone call with you, and I was so like down on myself, and I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Like, maybe I should just give up. And you really encouraged me to just keep pushing, keep trying, putting myself out there. Like, just you reminded me that I did deserve it. Like, I'd put in a lot of hard work in the boot camp, and I had, what it took. And so I think once I shifted my mindset and really started to believe that I was capable and worthy of landing a role, that's kind of when everything changed for me and when I
Yeah.
got my first offer. So
Yeah. And then you got multiple offers, right? And multiple companies wanted to hire you. That's, such a powerful story. So you are at a business analyst role. You're still learning a lot. You're still, you're facing challenges. You're going to this meeting, sometimes not knowing. You're still learning. And then, I think, was it like in a year, you actually made it a transition to a leadership role, like Scrum Master role, right? So what was that like, going to a new team and now really leading a team?
yeah, it was definitely a big transition, but I really think my background as a BA really set me up for success in my first Scrum Master role. Like, just having that experience to lean on of being a part of a Scrum team, like seeing how the different ceremonies were facilitated, kind of being exposed to that more technical language really helped me out. But yeah, it was a big transition. I like immediately started as a Scrum Master over 3 teams. And so it was
Wow.
definitely a lot at first. There was a learning curve, but like I said, I think it's important to put yourself in situations that are out of your comfort zone, because that's the only way you're
Yeah.
going to grow. And I feel like I really just dove right in, and I was able to learn a lot in the process. So
Yeah. Yeah. I wanna kind of go a little bit deeper into, like, we talked about you learning, right? And clearly you did that. I remember in that role too, you got a lot of positive feedback from the team and some really good things happened. But what did you do to learn? Like, what kind of things did you do? How did you, like, plan out each day so that you can fit learning? What kind of, conversations did you have? Like, just give us some idea. I'm curious myself.
yeah, absolutely. So when I first started in my first Scrum Master role, I had an amazing Scrum Master at the company who kind of took me under his wing and was able to be a great guide and mentor for me. So I'm really grateful for that. And I also just really took the time to set up one-on-one meetings with like important people at the company and just ask them questions, ask them for advice, and try to learn as much as I could. And another thing that really helped me too was setting up one on ones with all of my different team members and just really focusing on building an individual relationship with each of them.
Mm,
I think is actually pretty rare. A lot of the developers, I don't know, I don't feel like they always get treated as individuals.
mhm.
So I think really getting curious about them and their needs and stuff really set me up
Yeah.
for success.
Nice, nice, nice. So just kind of having those individual relationship, where were you able to also, like, just being curious, like, were you able to learn about their work, and were they able to help you with understanding certain things, or like did that give you in certain insights into how you might be effective in your role? You're saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I would ask them, like, what do you need from me as your Scrum Master to be successful?
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. Or what's something that you want me to know about you and your working style? Stuff like that.
Yeah,
So, and then once I built those relationships, I didn't feel so awkward or uncomfortable when I had to
yeah.
ask a question or had to have them explain something technical to me. I felt like, we were a team, and
Mm-hmm.
I really had them on my side. So,
Yeah, 100%. Thank you. So you did that. You go into the role as a Scrum Master. You're learning now. Was this a remote team or?
yep.
distributed. Okay, this was also a remote team. And where's the team based out of?
I think well, some of my team was in the US, but a lot of it
Yeah.
was in India.
Okay. So you're there, you're working as a Scrum Master, learning every day. And then you said, no, like Scrum Master is not enough. I remember having this conversation. I need to do more. So you wanted to go for an agile coaching role. So walk us through your mindset on why you wanted to go more into coaching and what was that process like? And yeah.
Well, I guess I'm technically not in an agile coach role right now. I'm still a Scrum Master at Kroger, but a lot of what I do is more coaching because my space is in the midst of such a big agile transformation. I've really been able to, utilize my agile knowledge and advise leadership on kind of a game plan and best next steps and stuff like that. So it's been really, really good. Like, I feel like I've learned a ton throughout this process and just being in this space in Kroger.
We're just going to start to wrap up the conversation. What kind of advice do you give for aspiring business analyst or Scrum Master? Let's just start with advice.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would just reiterate, like I said, the best way to grow is putting yourself in situations that are out of your comfort zone. Like I said, leaning into the imposter syndrome, kind of fake it till you make it, feel the fear and do it anyways. And not being afraid to ask questions, like I said, not being afraid to come off mute. I know it sounds like a small thing, but like in the beginning, it can be really intimidating. And then lastly, like lean on the Agile Coach community. That has been so supportive for me, is just staying connected. I've been in IT for 3 years now, but I still, stay in touch with so many people in the program. And I feel like, that's been really beneficial, and it helps me to continuously grow my knowledge and improve.
Yeah. Thank you, Haley. And another question that I have is for somebody who's kind of thinking about transitioning the program, and let's say they are ready to do the work. So what might be the reward of like being in this role? If you can share some, what kind of impact has this made, just going and doing all this work and going to tech? Yeah,
absolutely. It's been so amazing. Like I'm just so grateful for the opportunity still. I feel like a big part of it is making connections with your team members. And it's really rewarding to make those one-on-one connections and to watch your team members grow as individuals and coach your team towards success. And I don't know, it's just a really good feeling. And also, I feel like on a personal level, I've grown a ton just in the last 3 years, just professionally and personally. I feel like being in these types of leadership roles have really, like I said, forced me out of my comfort zone, forced me to just continuously improve and better myself. And it's a great space to be in. And I also think if you're going for a BA or a Scrum Master role, like you can expect, to most likely work remotely, maybe a hybrid role. And that is another really big benefit, I think, is just the freedom and the flexibility, the work-life balance. I just got back from traveling for 5 months and I was able to work from anywhere. So that's another big perk for sure.
Yeah. Haley, what about being in your early mid-20s and making a 6-figure income like this? How's that been? If you can share some wins there, because you're really good at negotiating, actually. So
thanks. I mean, I just feel so grateful and so blessed. But it's been amazing. And I do think, at first that imposter syndrome that I keep saying came into play, where it's like, wow, when did I start making 6 figures? Probably 22, 23. And I was like, wow, how am I I'm so young. I can't believe I'm making this kind of salary. And so I think, just pushing past that, if you're young, you can do it, you are capable, dream big,
Oh God, I did not know that. Like so you're making $100,000 plus when you're 22.
I started in IT at 21 when I graduated. So my
Wow,
first role, I wasn't making six figures, but
the second role, yeah, and it's been okay. Just doing
it's
that.
been all right. Yeah.
Yeah, just traveling the world, working remotely, making
Yeah.
all kind of impact. So no, it makes me so so happy that you're able to create this lifestyle that's really meaningful and like really growing and going into the leadership role. So
I'm grateful
big
too.
celebration.
Thank you.
Yeah, and a few other questions. So you went through a really interesting background. So have you met people do you need to go to college to become a business analyst or Scrum Master, in your opinion?
Yeah. I think, having a college degree like definitely helps, but I do know people in the program who have been extremely successful without actually having a college degree. And I really think the Agile Coach Bootcamp sets you up for success either way. Like, and actually, Hari, obviously, you know this,
Your mentor,
Chris'
yeah.
brother, yeah, but he is a good friend of mine and a mentor. And I don't think he has a college degree. And
No.
he was extremely successful in his career as an agile coach, and I've learned a ton from him. So definitely not necessary. It helps,
Yeah.
but it's not needed.
Yeah. Last question, Haley. So like in your coaching journey, like what are you well in this journey of becoming a facilitator, a coach, a leader, what are some things that you're reading, you've read, and what are you aspiring to like learn more?
Yeah, absolutely. I have been reading just a lot of like self-help books and like self-improvement
Yeah,
books. Not all of them necessarily like related to like Scrum or IT or business
yeah,
even, but I just
yeah,
feel like the more work I'm doing on myself and my own healing, my own self-awareness, like the better I
yeah.
can show up for my teams and the people in my life. So that's what I've been reading recently.
Can you give us some examples of things that were helpful, books names? We'll just add this in the show notes.
Yeah, sure. I recently read How to Do the Work by Dr. Nicole LaPera. That one is amazing. Yeah, she's really, really good. And she's on Instagram, the holistic psychologist.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I follow her. Yeah, she's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, she's so good. And then right now I'm also reading a book about setting boundaries, which I think is a really important skill to learn. Especially as a woman, I think it's really helpful, in all aspects of your life, but especially in the workplace, being able to set boundaries is very
Yeah,
important. So
yeah. Thank you, Haley. This was a
yeah, absolutely.
blast. Thank you so much.